Big Boys
Big
Neighborhood,
Boy.
beautiful day in the neighborhood, man. Let me tell you, I've been waiting for this one. Neelam, it is a pleasure to have you in the neighborhood, Queen.
No, the pleasure is all mine. I have to say that I've been rolling these LA streets, listening to you for what seems like forever. So to be in front of you right now, it's really an honor. I'm such a fan of you and this show, so the pleasure really is all mine.
Thank you so much. Now, Neelam, you're not from Los Angeles, though, huh? You're from LA.
Yeah.
And we taking you as ours.
Yeah, I've been here since '01. So
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
like,
You here.
I was born
Yeah.
exactly. I was born in Seattle, Washington, but I was made in LA.
I heard hello.
Nice.
Hey, did you really come out here September 11th? Like, was that your first
That
day,
was-
like,
I
in LA?
literally was like, okay. I turn on the news and I see the planes and the buildings and I'm like, wow, this is a great way to start LA.
Wow.
So, and then like I was already late too, like starting high school and school shut down and I was like, okay, this is awkward, but yeah, that was my first day.
It's a hell of a day to remember, though.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You
absolutely.
know exactly what day you came to Los Angeles.
Exactly. Can't forget.
When did you fall in love with hip hop? Were you writing first as far as like poetry or
Yeah,
doing
it's funny
spoken
that
word?
you say that. It was definitely poetry at first.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
you can hear it.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Yeah, and it's funny. Even I was very, very scared to put out my first piece on, like on my Instagram, and I was just
Why?
like, because I'm like, well, naturally we feel like, oh, what are people gonna say?
Yeah.
What are you gonna think? And like worrying about other people, especially me. Like I'm this Muslim girl who's like, I was like, I'm about to put music to this. I think it would be really dope. And yeah, just worrying about what people would say. And then it was crazy to put it out. And then Diddy posted the Shade Room and everybody just started posting. I was like, wow, it's funny. All that fear that I had was pointless and just false evidence
How do you
appearing
think
real.
you cut through the clutter? You know what I'm saying? Because at one point, people always either looking for something, think we know what we want to hear, or we want a sloppy carbon copy, and there's room for everything. How did you figure out, how do I cut through this clutter? And not that clutter's a bad word, but how do I cut through?
Cut through the clutter. I don't know. I just feel like it's important to just be your authentic self and being able to stand by what you say and what you do and just being like, regardless of what anybody says about it, if I feel it, if I believe in it, I'm doing it.
Why did you call your album different?
In hip hop particular, the female rap game, I do believe that, first of all, we're killing the game. I love what all of our women are doing because we're not playing no games. But I do believe that women are like the most dynamic creatures on the planet. So the fact that there's not really a lot of balance or different perspectives or different voices mainstream, I just feel like we need to have a little bit more low-key diversity in female hip-hop, more inclusion in that sense, just something different. And when I listen to my music, and even just, always know that when I'm in the room, I'm like the different girl.
Right.
Like, whoa, what are you about? Why are you like that? So I just thought it was like, make it plain and different.
Yeah.
Yeah,
because we say it anyway, and it's not like we say it and you don't know.
right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, yeah, I know I'm different.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
I know it. I accept it. and-
Embrace it.
Yeah, embrace it. Exactly.
What have been the
But I
biggest
love
barrier?
it.
What have been the biggest barriers being different in this career?
Naturally, because I'm like really almost opposite of what is pushed mainstream. You
Right.
already have like a battle to like come through and make a lane for yourself that kind of doesn't exist. So naturally, that will always be a challenge. But I'm up for the challenge.
Yeah.
And I just think it's important to just
But
have a different
talent,
perspective.
your talent as well. Like you can't look at Neelam and not say, man, like she's talented.
I really appreciate that.
And even on different, you open up with secret meetings.
Yeah.
And secret meetings is it's really going against the grain. It's
Yeah.
exposing. You know what I'm
Right,
saying?
right.
And we do see a lot of, well, can you change who you are?
Right,
Can you be like this
absolutely.
person? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So
if you want to make it, if you want success,
this
you
is
should
this is what it
conform.
looked like. This is what success looked like.
Absolutely.
This is the formula.
Right.
So
right.
were there any of those secret meetings that I'm pretty sure you heard a lot?
You're right, absolutely. Definitely that song comes from real life experiences. And then it's kind of symbolic for just in the
Yeah.
game of success. Like,
Yeah.
what are you going to do? You want to conform? Do you want to, there's easy ways to get this, but I'm cool with taking the stairs.
You mentioned before that you were afraid to post something like your kind of like your first stuff.
Right.
Now going through that journey with social media, and it can be a very toxic place. Did you have any lows after that of going through the ups and downs of once the eye was on you?
Absolutely. Like I'm always I can't help it. I am human. So, putting out bodies of work that you really care about, naturally when people are judging it, you just feel like, you know.
So like, you calling my kid ugly.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yes.
you know.
I love this baby. And but to be honest, I've been way more shocked by the love.
Yeah.
People are really like receptive. People are really supportive. And I'm just like, wow. And it's people from all walks of life. And I think that's beautiful.
But to have somebody like Will Smith and Diddy
oh my God,
put it on, it's like that's amazing. How did you first find out that Will Smith had posted you and shown you love?
Blowing up. Everybody's like, did you say this? Did you? And I'm like, oh my God, no. Like, are you serious? So then when I seen it, and then you like wrote hot, and then you like put all my lyrics. That's another thing. It's like you reposted my lyrics because I write out my lyrics. There's a lot of people who request like, can you write it out?
And I love that.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I'm just listening to them. Like they're like, can you please write it? And there's some people who are hearing impaired, and they're like, hey, I can't even hear it, but I would like to read it. And I'm like, oh, I got you. So that was just crazy to me, and I really appreciate that support. That really opened up, me getting to a lot more people, and that's the hard part, being. Getting yourself out there.
Right.
Yeah. So.
And I did ask, how did you fall in love with hip hop?
Oh, to be honest, I'm really like an old soul. So like, classic hip hop is really what I fell in love with. I'm not too, no offense to anyone, but I'm not too impressed with what's going on now. I mean, even though there's some real ones out there like that I, mess with, but, like, till this day, like I bang Lauryn Hill.
Yes.
Like to this day, I still feel like it's like killing off like everything out. So
Who are the ones that are impressing you right now then?
of course, I'm impressed with J. Cole, Kendrick. I love D Smoke.
Nice.
Yeah. Nipsey, the real Nipsey, Jay, of course, he's the GOAT.
You want people with the message.
Yeah. Well, and just like you're just really talking about something.
Yeah.
You don't have to have like a conscious message. You're just dope, and
saying something.
Exactly. Instead of, no.
And you never so-called waste your time. You know what I'm saying? You like be like, oh, I'm just gonna put a filler on this, or I'm just gonna. Why? And we were just talking about this recently in the neighborhood, right? We see people like Lil Wayne got 24 songs. People are really putting a lot of titles onto, and if I'm not mistaken, you got what, 6?
Yes.
And
Perfect.
that made it so easy for me to listen over and over. And I'm a lyric reader as well.
Straight to the point.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So why 6 be
Well, you got to conform to the times. Unfortunately, we don't appreciate home cooked meals. We like fast food. We want it quick. We want so it's like I can give you something wholesome, but I could give it give it quickly. And like you said, where it's easy to just go ahead and run that back, start that over, because it's just short and sweet. And I just think, I don't know, I like it like that, naturally.
And Rick James is another one that stood out to me as well.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? How did they get in touch with you for a BET Cypher? Because I thought the Cypher look
so dope.
was a hell of a look too. And I love seeing who's on the Cypher as far as like some of our great champs and also our next great champs.
Right.
And I thought that when I saw you, I was like, oh, Neelam deserved that one.
Oh, thank you. So after Will Smith and Erykah Badu, when they posted that video that went around, BT hit me up and they're like, hey, do you want to do the Cypher? And I was just like, oh my goodness.
You were like, I'm ready.
Yes. And even if I wasn't ready, it's like, I have to, because
I'm going to be ready.
This is more than, it's just like, it's more representation. It's like, I've never seen someone look like me do the Cypher. So it's like, I got to do that for the team,
Do you get a lot of people that tell you how proud they are of you or keep going? Or
Yes, I do. And that means everything to me. The DMs, the messages, I strive to read them all. And that's literally motivation, because like I said, representation matters. So when you have someone out there like, wow, I've never seen someone like you. You're like, you do it, like I said, you're doing it for the team. I've never seen this. So it's like, oh, I got to keep doing this. I got to keep breaking barriers and keep, getting myself out there, because it's more than me. Yeah.
Yeah. And a lot of people, just like with anything that we look at, whatever it is on social media, video, whatever, people look and people watch. And there's one thing when people recognize something of their quality in someone else. You know what I'm saying? And I think that a lot of people, not just girls, not just ladies, not just little ones, a lot of people need to see other sides and recognize that you can go against the so-called entertainment grain. You know what I'm saying? And you can be different. And that's where the hip hop and music was, or just life. It was about being different.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And not to cut off anything that's going on today, because people making money, they're doing their thing. But I love to see what you're doing, and every time I see something that's happened, I'm like, oh yeah, she earned that one, and she deserved it.
I appreciate it so much. Yeah.
So the new project, different. Is it when you go in to do something like that? Now that people are kind of checking for Neelam and people know the name, is there an expectation or pressure that comes with that, as opposed to maybe being under the radar? And
yeah, naturally, you know, where it's like, you know, you just want to live up to the accolades that you receive. You know, you're just like, okay, you know, naturally when you're putting out something, like I said, it's your baby, and you're just like, I hope, you know, everyone receives this well. So you'll have a little
looking
bit
at
of,
little blanket, like, you know.
Right, exactly. You'll have a little, you know, little jitters about that. But, you know, like I said, if I stand by it, if I like it, I'm like, you know what, I put my hands up, I stand by it. Hopefully y'all good with it. You know.
What about your discipline? Because I know, you know, I know you rock with the nation. I know you're Muslim. Like, how important is that to you as well?
It's very important. I feel like it's like a part of my identity. It's funny for me. It's funny that you say that, because, you know, I'm actually a convert. You know,
right. I was gonna ask.
I grew up in, and I grew up in the church, but not like how everybody, you know, where you just go to church on Easter Sunday and you don't go all year. No, it's like I'm active in the church. You know, my family actually to this day, they own churches. So I have such a love, you know, like a lot of us, you know, we naturally were Christian, you know, because, you know, when we go back to even like being brought over here as slaves, you know, like that was given to us. So naturally all of our families are like, that's what we do. But, you know, one day my father came home. It was kind of like he had like a Malcolm X moment where, you know, he was just like reading and he was like, you know what? I found out that a lot of those people in the hulls of slave ships, you know, were in fact Muslim. And, you know, I just want to do more research on just like tapping back to, you know, like my origin. And the cool thing about him, he was like, I want you to research for yourself. I don't want to force anything on you. And that kind of was beautiful to me, because it's like, I like to not be a blind follower of anything. It's just like, I want to research for myself and decide for myself. So to be honest, I did a lot of soul searching through a lot of like religions and everything. And I went to the mosque with the nation. I went to masjids. I went to a lot of things, and I kind of just fell in love with Islam altogether. And I honestly didn't know there was like even a difference. Right. Like at all. And what I really loved was, you know, just like how people's lives are being transformed, like especially in like the hoods or the places that are usually overlooked. You know, I'm watching, you know, gangbangers and drug dealers and pimps and, you know, prostitutes' lives being completely transformed. And I'm like, wow, that's a beautiful thing. You know, usually people look over the, you know, the bottom, you know, so that was beautiful to me. But yeah.
How long ago?
That was in 2007.
Oh, really though?
Yes.
And you know, just knowing a lot of people from the nation and being really close, it's like it's a lot of sacrifice as well. And especially when you get into music, you know what I'm saying? Right. It's like, you know, the music business, the game, if you get caught up in it, it's such a dirty ass world. You know what I'm saying? So it's almost like when you come in so clean and pure, you know, you hip to what's going down, but you know it's a dirty business too. You know, and I think that's what secret meetings are too. You're like, man, I'm hip to it.
Right.
Do you feel like how strong you are scares the room sometimes?
Maybe, but I don't know, like I'm about what I'm about. And I'm the I love the whole saying, do you. I'm not. I just be like, do what you want to do. I'm not judging. I'm not in the room like, oh, y'all doing this.
And I noticed that about you.
Yeah, so I think it makes it where it's like I'm not this like judgmental like person in the room. I'm like, you know.
Do you.
Do you. Like, do you, boo? That's me. Like, so I just, I don't feel like I don't feel like it puts fear or make people feel uncomfortable. It's just like, hey.
You know, and the reason why I ask, because sometimes when you walk into a room, people know what they can get away with.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They know what they can get away with.
True
they
that.
know, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And sometimes when you see somebody that's hip to the bullshit or they stronger or whatever,
Right.
it's like, damn, like, yeah, he or she not gonna fall for this.
True.
I was working with a young girl, do a girl mentorship program. She's 17 now, but when I met her at 15, she confided in me and told me that she was scared to wear her hijab to school because she was afraid of what her people, she had just transferred to that school too, so it was something really new.
Right.
What does it mean to you to be someone who can represent that, you know, wearing hijab and sticking to who you are, but not being afraid and knowing those girls are looking up to you?
Right. Yeah. I mean, even my journey with hijab, like, it took me a while to even want to wear it. So I understand that. But it just took me falling in love with it. And I'm like, this is dope. And like I said, like being authentic, like, oh, I don't care what anybody else is doing. Like, this is how I am.
Yeah.
And just being comfortable with it. And I love to portray that and be the only one in the room because, like you said, there's a girl watching who feels uncomfortable. And she's like, wow, she's, you know, like she's standing firm in what she is, and that means a lot to me. And I know how it feels to feel like, you know, I've been to like big parties where I'm like, oh my God, what am I gonna wear? How am I gonna like do this? And then it's like, you know what? And then I go there and everybody's like, yo, you look great. Male and female. I'm like, wow. It's there it goes again, fear, that false evidence appearing real, where you're like, you were so nervous and look at the reaction. Like, just chill, just be you and like, do you.
What does Los Angeles mean to you? We just recently, of course, you know, we lost Kobe.
Right.
We lost Nip. You know what I'm saying? And it feel like the world is coming together, but there's also this coming together of Los Angeles. Like, you know, like it seemed like we got a knockout blow again.
Absolutely.
Like, what does Los Angeles mean to you?
Okay, so first of all, we know there's like two LAs. There's LA, which is like Hollywood, and you know, but and then there's LA, where it's like where the real ones are. And I think because I came to LA, where the real ones are, I can't help but feel immense love. And it's funny how people will be like, "Oh, LA is fake," but that's because you're dealing with other LA.
What part of LA? Yeah,
exactly.
And you're imported.
Exactly. Right. That. Oh my God, that was perfectly said. That's really what's going on. So you're not really like with the real.
You're not on
people.
turf for real.
Exactly, and that's where the real ones are. It's like far from fake, and so that's why I have such a love for realness. And yeah. We hard too. It's just I love that. You know, I have a weird dynamic. It's like nice, but it's like
don't text me.
Exactly. So I just love LA because it's palm trees, but we don't play.
Yeah.
You know. So
did you have a relationship with Nipsey?
I met Nipsey at the Rock Nation brunch last year. Lauren London introduced me to him, and the crazy one thing that you, for example, like if you like fighting, and I introduce you to something, I'd be like, hey. He really likes fighting too, and da-da-da-da. What I noticed was when Lauren was introducing me to him, she's like, hey, she talks about this, she talks about unity, she talks about brothers and sisters. And I was like, wow, it's funny that you're saying that to him because you obviously know that that's what he likes.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, that's interesting that, because somebody can introduce me and be like, oh, she has a lot of followers and Will Smith posted her. But you're saying.
Did you see the Diddy post?
Exactly. Right. But you're saying all this stuff that's about, you know, like
specific.
What I care
Substance,
about. Substance. And I was like, wow, that just speaks volumes to what she knows that that's her man. What will be interesting to him. So that was beautiful to me. And I mean, he followed me online and it was like a couple. I think it was a week later he was gone, and I was like, "Damn, this is insane."
And it's crazy when you fast forward when you say you met him at the Rock Nation brunch, and then you fast forward to the brunch that just happened, and brother's not there,
right? And
you know, and then Lauren the next day, we lose Kobe. You know what I'm saying? And we got a lot of work to do. We got a lot of healing. You know what I'm saying? And I really thank you for coming into the neighborhood. Hanging out with us, continue to do what you do. I remember I popped in on one of your little lives one day. She was doing like a live, and I was like, man, I'm jumping in on this. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm jumping in. It was like all you and your little homegirls. I was like, man, go ahead now, queen. But no, Neelam, thank you for coming into the neighborhood, man.
Thank you.
Thank you for always representing very well. You know what I'm
really
saying?
appreciate it.
It's easy for my, to show my 11-year-old daughter, what she need to include as well.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And continue. And I know I don't want to put it on you, but please continue to be you.
Yes.
Continue to
Stay
shine.
different.
Yeah, exactly.
you.
Stay different. All righty.
Yes, sir.
Neelam in the neighborhood, Big Boys
Big
neighborhood.
Boys.